So, ladies and gents, I hope you're all doing well and having a good day. So, I'm going to be talking to you guys about whether or not you should consider buying from eBay. So, I bought a lot of things from eBay. I use eBay a lot for video games, and for video games quite often I'll order from eBay if I can't find them at CEX. Because I don't think CEX sell games for I know they sell like PS2 games and things like that. Um, and I was looking for some PS1 games because I know that PS1 games are backwards compatible with the PS2. So I ordered some PS1 games to try out. And I didn't have any CEX, so I ordered them from eBay. And to be honest, so I've received two of the games I was waiting for. I ordered two PS6s from eBay by mistake. Instead of ordering one, I ordered two. So the second one came today, so I've got two copies of PS6 for the PS2 now. I got two of the other games I was waiting for today. They came today. There's one game that's due out for delivery tomorrow as well. And I think there's another three which are due to be delivered sometime between tomorrow and next Monday. So, between those 6 days, there should be another three games to arrive. There's, from what I remember, there's FIFA 99, FIFA 2000, FIFA 98 Road to World Cup, FIFA 97, FIFA 96, so there's five. There's still about 5 games that are due to be delivered. The two that got delivered today were the World Cup 98 game, and also Euro 2000. So got 2 out of 7 games I ordered. Still got 5 to come between now and next Monday. I've never ordered. Well, I've never had any problems with anything I've ordered from eBay. Now I'm a funny person. Like when I buy a game, like video games and stuff from eBay, I always look to see I always like to see what condition they're in. If they're in an acceptable condition, I won't buy them. If they're in a good or a very good condition, or it says like new, I will buy it. The thing is, I've ordered games before that were in an acceptable condition. And when I received them, they didn't work. It was like a few weeks ago. I ordered 3 Jack and Daxter games, and there was a person selling them on eBay, selling the 3 games for, I think it was about 20 quid or something like that on eBay. And it said the condition of the games, they were in an acceptable condition. So I still went ahead and ordered them, and I thought, maybe I'll get lucky, and maybe they won't actually be too bad when they come. Maybe they'll be okay. Because the owners, the seller had said that the discs had a few scratches on them, but they had some scratches on them, but they were still playable. So I thought, well, maybe I'll get them, or maybe they'll be okay. But when I tried them on my PS2, they didn't work. They didn't load up, so I had to throw them out. There's no point keeping hold of the games that don't work. So I threw them out, and I've got about 3 copies of FIFA 05. Which I might think about selling 1 or 2 of those copies. I don't need 3 copies, although it would be good to keep a copy spare in case one of them gets, one of them the copy that and the first copy I have goes wrong. I've got another copy there. Obviously, when it comes to what I would buy on eBay, I would buy, video games, cheap consoles, like I bought the PS2 from eBay. I have an Xbox 360, but I did buy that from eBay. I bought that from Amazon. But I did buy the PS2 from eBay. Pretty decent offer. I paid £79.99 for the console plus about £6 for delivery, so it was about 86 quid altogether for that delivery, so not bad. I mean, obviously with eBay, I wouldn't buy something like a PS5 or like a PS5 Pro or whatever, because it's just too risky. Like it's like when you order things like that, it's like, how do you know for definite that you're gonna get the item that you've actually paid for? Because we've seen so many stories where people have ordered PS5s from eBay and they haven't got what they actually paid for. They've got other things instead, like, but bags of cat food and things like that. When they didn't even pay for that. They paid for a PS5, they paid for a PS5 console. And you've got to look at the scalpers on eBay as well. Like, you think about it, right? Let's look at the PS5 Pro, for example. The PS5 Pro, from what if I remember correctly, is about £700 in shops. But I think it's gone down in price at the moment for the Black Friday sales. But there are people on eBay who will be charging treble that or double that amount of money for a PS5 Pro console on eBay. There'll be people on there that will probably be charging like £2,000-3,000 for a console that only costs 700 in shops. It's like, why would you pay £2,000 on eBay for something that costs £700 in the shops? Because the thing is, when you're buying these consoles on eBay, you're basically paying almost double or triple what it is actually, or sometimes even quadruple what it is in the shops. This is the thing. Like, there was another thing. I'll tell you a funny story. I had one PS2 and I had it about a couple of months, and there were a few problems with it after a couple of months, so I had to get basically the disc tray wasn't working on it. When I was putting the discs in, the console wasn't reading the discs for some reason. Like, no matter what disc I put in the console just wasn't reading the disc. Even when there was nothing wrong with the discs, it wasn't reading them. Like, games that had previously worked on it weren't loading up, which is and I was gonna try and fix it, but then I thought, no, I don't know what I'm doing with the consoles, but they're trying to fix them. So I went on to eBay to look for another one, and before I found the one that I found, which was the console, 2 control pads, like it had all of the wires, it had a memory card for the PS2, which was a bonus, and it had 16 games. That's right, the seller was selling 16 games for the PS2 console. Like, that is a great deal. To pay £79 for a PS2 plus 16 games, I think that's pretty decent, to be fair. And that's on eBay as well. That was on eBay as well. Like, that to me is pretty good. And then before I saw I found that one, I saw another seller selling the PS2 on there, and he wanted 150 quid for it. But that didn't come with anything. It only came with like the wires, and all it came with was like the wires and the control pads. Like, it didn't have a memory card, it didn't have any games with it, and I just thought to myself, like, you're not gonna sell that. Because A, no one's gonna pay 150 quid for it, and B, why would people buy just a console and control pads? When there's other people on the eBay selling the PS2, or everywhere selling the PS2 with the wires, the control pads, and 1 or 2 memory cards, and even games with it. That's the thing you got to look at. And he said that he was willing to listen to offers, but he wasn't willing to listen to offers below £100. He wanted to, he was only willing to listen to offers between 100 and 150, and I thought to myself, like, there is no way he's going to get anywhere close to 150 quid for a PS2. No one's going to pay that amount of money for a PS2 console that doesn't even come with any games or anything like that. You know, 'cause that's the thing, it didn't even come with any games. So I kind of think that the seller had a little bit of a cheat to charge, you know, £150 for a console that didn't even come with any games. You know, as I said, the seller I thought that the seller I bought a PS2 from, you know, all of, you know, console, wires, control pads, you know, a memory card and 16 games. You know, for £79.99 was incredible, you know, a really good deal. You know, and I was happy with that, you know. Um, I have to say that most of the sellers that I bought stuff from eBay have been really reliable. Like, I mean, most of my games I've ordered have come within about a week at the most, a week to 2 weeks. Um, and it's not, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, you know. I think, like, I mean, some of the games I've ordered have been, you know, a few days late. I think there's only been one or two items that have been about 4 days. You know, there was one item I ordered and it arrived maybe about 4 days later than it was supposed to. But at least it did turn up. I've only ever had one issue with you know, with a seller where I paid for a video game and it never turned up. Like it was never sent out. I never actually received it. So they had basically taken the money and not sent me the game, which was a bit, you know, which was a bit kind of, which was a bit of a piss take. It was a game that I ordered for the Xbox 360. And I ordered it, but it never came. And I think, well, when I think about the seller that was selling those, the set of the three Jack and Daxter games, that were in an acceptable condition, I think he had a bit, as he was charging what, like 20 quid. Like, I just went to myself, like, he shouldn't have been charging any money necessarily for those games because they weren't in a decent condition. Like, if they had been in a top quality condition, I would have said, well, yeah, he has the right to charge people for those games or expect people to pay money for those games. But when the games are in an acceptable condition, which, you know, basically means they're not in a very good condition, you know, it's like, why would you? That's not something I do. You know, I wouldn't sell anything on eBay unless I knew that it was in a top quality condition. You know, I wouldn't sell an item that was in an acceptable condition. You know, I'd feel a bit. I feel a bit bad, you know, for expecting people to pay for something that isn't in, you know, a very good condition. And I think, in a way, I think, you know, that's just my take on it. You know, I mean, you think about what people were like when the PS5 came out. You know, the people that were selling them on eBay like doubled the price. Same with the PS5, like the PlayStation Portal that came out last year. You know, the scalpers on eBay with that alone were unbelievable. I think, you know, I mean, I would never take the risk of buying something like a PS5 or something like that from eBay. You know, it's not a risk that I would be willing to take purely because it's a lot of money to lose if you don't get what you paid for. Which there is always that risk that you might not actually get what you paid for. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying this to kind of, you know, put people off buying from eBay. I'm just saying that people probably shouldn't buy, you know, shouldn't consider, you know, buying something like a PS5 or an Xbox Series X or S or whatever from, from eBay because it's just too risky. I would say, you know, your best bet to buy that kind of console would be to go to a place like Smith's or Smith's Toy Superstores, not WH Smith's Toy Superstores, or maybe go to Argos or to Game if there's any still about. I don't know how many game shops there are still about. I don't know. I don't remember seeing any PS5s in the window of the CEX that I go to in the Stratford Shopping Centre. I was up there last week on Monday. And I didn't see any consoles, any PS5 consoles in the window, so I'm assuming that there wasn't. Well, I think they would sell. I think CEX do sell PS5s, maybe. I don't know. Um, but definitely not worth taking the risk of buying something like that from eBay. But as I said, with a lot of things that I've purchased, in terms of video games, I've not really had too many problems with eBay. I think, eBay's been pretty reliable. I buy a lot of games, and that's what I do now. I buy a lot of my games online from especially for the older consoles. I buy my games on eBay or CEX. eBay and CEX are probably two of the best places to order from. Like again, with CEX, I've never really had any issues with their delivery service. I remember when I ordered some games from there I think it was about a month ago. And I ordered them on Saturday, and they arrived. They arrived in the Wednesday. By the Wednesday, they were delivered on the Wednesday. So 4 days. I only waited 4 days, which I was actually really impressed. By that. To be honest, I was like, wow. I was amazed at the fact that, you know, the games I'd ordered from CEX had only taken 4 days to be delivered. And this is the thing with CEX, like I've never had to wait more than a week for anything that I've ordered from CEX. I've always only ever had to wait about 5 days at the most. I don't think I've ever had to wait more than that. Which is why CEX is so good, I think. Like, that's just my honest opinion. Maybe you guys have had some issues with CEX, and maybe that kind of, maybe you don't rate their delivery service, but I certainly do, Um, like, I will certainly rate a lot of the sellers I've brought games from on eBay quite highly. Because some of them have been really, have been pretty good. I was really impressed with the seller who sold the PS2. The fact that they were selling a PS2 console 16 games. $79.99. I think that's pretty fair. When you think about what the console came with. Like, I was perfectly happy to pay that. I'd rather pay $79.99 for a console that comes with 16 games, rather than pay 150 quid for a console that doesn't even come with any games, which is what that person was selling was doing on eBay the other week. They were selling the PS2 for 150 quid and it didn't even come with any games. All it came with was the wires and the control pads. It didn't even have a memory card with it. So why charge 150 quid for a console that doesn't even come with any games? I don't get that. I don't understand that person's reason for charging 150 quid for a console that doesn't even come with any games. Like, it's just one of those things that feels like it doesn't make any sense, if you know what I mean. But that is it for now. I hope you've enjoyed this little video. I thought it would be an interesting one to do. But yeah, if you want to take the risk of buying a PS5 or PS5 Pro from eBay, then take the risk. But personally, it's not a risk that I would take. If you're looking to buy a PS2 or an Xbox 360 or something like that from eBay, then go ahead. I don't think you'll have too many problems. But yeah, as I said, just be careful. Always, and I think I would always check for eBay as well. I always check to see what sort of reviews a seller has had. If they've had a lot of positive reviews, I'd be more likely to buy from them. But if they haven't had that many positive reviews, I'm a little bit more reluctant to buy from them. If they might not be, if they've not had that many good reviews, that seller is probably highly unlikely to be a legit seller. Most of the sellers I've seen on eBay or I've encountered on eBay have been pretty legit. I've not had any problems with eBay as far as as I said, the only issue I've ever had is when I ordered a game for the Xbox 360 and it was never sent out. The seller that was selling it never actually sent the game out. So they were obviously a dodgy seller. Obviously trying to scam people out of their money. Basically accepting people's money for orders, but then not sending them out. I wouldn't mind betting that I wasn't the only person that was a victim of that seller. They probably had other people buy games from them and not receive them. So, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting, like, eBay is a very interesting site, like, interesting place to buy from. I think it's crazy. You can find anything and everything on eBay. It's like unbelievable. Retro consoles, retro video games. It's just mad. It's crazy to think about what you can find on eBay, and I think probably there's probably a very good chance you will find what you're looking for on eBay without a doubt. eBay is so good. I think it's really good. For the most part. Uh, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you for another one very soon. Bye bye.